welcome back to Learner's World. Today's video is an overview of lifespan development in psychology. I will have a Quizlet linked in the description box below if you wanted to check that out. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting off with a few terms to know. So developmental psychology is the scientific study of biological, cognitive, social, and personality development across the lifespan. Dividing the lifespan into stages, you have prenatal, which is conception to birth, infancy, which is birth to 2 years, childhood, which is 2 to 12 years, adolescence, which is 12 to 18 years, young adulthood, which is 18 to 40 years, middle adulthood, which is 40 to 65 years, and late adulthood, which is 65 years and over. Assimilation is Peiget's term for the interpretation of new experiences in terms of present schemas or schemas, however you want to pronounce it. Accommodation is Peiget's term for the modification of present schemas to fit with new experiences. Object permanence is the knowledge that an object exists independent of perceptual contact with it, and egocentrism is the inability to distinguish one's own perceptions, thoughts, and feelings from those of others. Attachment is a feeling of closeness toward another person, the strong, affectionate tie we have with special people in our lives that leads us to experience pleasure, joy when we interact with them, and to be comforted by their nearness in times of stress. People we turn to when we're stressed out and they make us feel better. Ethological theory of attachment. John Bowlby, who lived from 1907 to 1990, was a British psychologist that believed in the ethological theory of attachment. The ethological view of attachment views animal behavior as evolutionarily adaptive. The infant's emotional tie to the caregiver is an evolved response that promotes survival. It is a widely accepted theory now. It's theorized that infants who had strong attachments would fare better, and if they had an insecure attachment, they would fare worse. Experimental work in attachment. Harry Harlow, who lived from 1905 to 1981, was an American psychologist whose most famous experiment was The Nature of Love in 1958. In the experiment, Harlow separated infant monkeys from their mothers at birth to try to prevent the spreading of disease. He noticed odd monkey behavior. The baby monkeys would cling to soft cloth. Harlow tested what mattered more, food or comfort reinforcement. He gave 2 inanimate surrogate mothers for each baby, one made of wire, one made of terry cloth. Babies received nourishment from either via a milk dispenser in the wire surrogate and in the terry cloth surrogate. All monkeys preferred the cloth mother. The conclusion was that contact comfort is the most important factor in attachment. Strange situation. Harlow would place a fear-inducing stimuli in the cage with the baby monkey and watch to see if the baby monkey would choose the terry cloth mother or the wire mother. Experimental work in attachment. Mary Ainsworth, who lived from 1913 to 1999, was an American-Canadian psychologist who was a student of John Bowlby. In the 1960s, she developed a test of childhood attachment. The Strange Situation original study contained 56 white middle-class mothers and babies about 11 months old. She observed infant behavior in an unfamiliar room while the mother and a stranger move in and out of the room in a set pattern. Types of relationships. We have secure, anxious, which anxious relationship can also be described as resistant or ambivalent. An avoidant relationship, and disorganized, which was added later by a different psychologist. The sequence of events in the strange situation. So first, you have an observer that shows the experimental room to the mother and infant, then leaves the room. The infant is allowed to explore the playroom for 3 minutes. The mother watches but does not participate. A stranger enters the room and remains silent for a minute, talks to the baby for a minute, then approaches the baby with a toy. The mother leaves unobtrusively. The stranger doesn't play with the baby if the baby is content. The stranger will comfort the baby if necessary. After 3 minutes, the mother will return, pause in the doorway to allow baby to greet her. The stranger leaves the room. The mother leaves saying bye-bye when the baby resumes playing. Baby is left alone for 3 minutes. If baby is distressed, the session is shortened. The stranger enters and tends to come and play with the baby. And after 3 minutes, the mother returns and the stranger leaves. What was measured in the strange situation? So proximity and contact-seeking behaviors. These include active, effective behaviors such as approaching and clambering, of active gestures, intentional movements such as partial approaches, and vocal signals such as directed cries. Contact maintaining behaviors which pertain to the situation after the baby has gained contact either through his or her own initiative or otherwise. They include clinging, embracing, clutching, and holding on, resisting a release by intensified clinging, or if contact is lost, by turning back and reaching or clambering back up and protesting release vocally. Proximity interaction. Avoiding behaviors pertain to a situation which ordinarily elicits approach, greeting, or at least watching or interaction across a distance, as when an adult enters the room or tries to engage the baby's attention. Such behaviors include ignoring the adult, pointedly avoiding looking at her, looking away, turning away, or moving away. Contact and interaction avoiding behaviors includes angry, ambivalent attempts to push away, hit or kick the adult who seeks to make contact, squirming to get down, having been picked up, or throwing away or pushing away toys through which the adult tries to mediate her interventions. More diffuse manifestations are angry, screaming, throwing self about, throwing self down, kicking floor, pouty, cranky, fussing, or petulance. Search behavior. Behavior includes following parent to the door, trying to open the door, banging on the door, remaining oriented to the door, or glancing at the door. Types of attachment. So securely attached is the infant uses the mother as a base of exploration, cooing at her, showing her toys, making eye contact with her. The infant shows distress when the mother leaves the room, but cries only briefly if at all. When she returns, the infant goes to her with apparent delight, cuddles for a while, and then returns to the toys. Anxious, resistant, ambivalent. Responses toward the mother fluctuate between happy and angry. The infant clings to the mother and cries profusely when she leaves, as if worried she might not return. When she does return, the infant clings to her again, but does not use her as a base to explore the toys. Avoidant. While the mother is present, the infant does not stay near her and seldom interacts with her. The infant may or may not cry when she leaves and does not go to her when she returns. Disorganized. The infant alternates between approach and avoidance and shows more fear than affection. This happens most with maltreatment or neglect. Prevalence of attachment styles differ globally. Secure attachment is the most common. Differences in attachment cross-culturally may reflect measurement errors. Generally, quality of one relationship correlates with the quality of others. Some determinants of attachment. So match between infant temperament, expectations, and behavior responsiveness of the caregiver. Diana Baumrind, who lived from 1927 to 2018, was an American developmental psychologist who worked in the Institute of Human Development at the University of California, Berkeley. She studied parenting styles. Parenting styles include authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, which these are the three that Diana Baumrind found. Later, the uninvolved, indifferent, neglectful parenting style was added. Responsiveness is the degree to which the parent is attuned to the physical and emotional needs of a child. Demandingness, the extent to which parents control their child's behavior. Authoritarian, parents that are very much in control, like a dictatorship. It is a parenting style in which the parents are demanding, expect unquestioned obedience, are not responsive to their children's desires, and communicate poorly with their children. Authoritative parenting styles is a style of parenting in which the parents are demanding but set rational limits for their children and communicate well with their children, are warm and loving. Permissive parenting is a style of parenting in which the parents make few demands and overly respond to children's desires by letting their children pretty much do as they please. Uninvolved, neglectful, and indifferent parenting is a parenting style in which the parents minimize both the time they spend with their children and their emotional involvement, providing for their children's basic needs but little else. Effects of parenting styles. Parenting styles correlate with the behavior of the children. Children of authoritative parents are self-reliant. Children of authoritarian parents tend to be law-abiding. Children of permissive parents are often socially irresponsible. Children of indifferent parents tend to be impulsive and undisciplined. Children affect the parents as much as the parents affect the children. Does parental indifference lead to impulsive, out-of-control children? Maybe, maybe not. Impulsive, hard-to-control children may cause indifference in parents. Do authoritative parents lead to well-mannered behaviors in their children? Maybe, and again, maybe not. John Piaget, or Jean Piaget, born 1896, died 1980 in Switzerland. His early work was giving IQ tests, which originate in France, and he gave these IQ tests to children. He noticed common errors, created the theory of cognitive development. Piaget's theory of cognitive development. So there's development in stages. Children's thoughts differ qualitatively from adult thought. Believed children grow intellectually through accommodation and assimilation, which change their schemas. A schema is an organized way of interacting with objects, thoughts, ideas, etc. Assimilation, applying an old schema to a new object or problems. For example, when a child sees animals move and they see the sun and moon move, the child may assume that the sun and moon are alive like animals. Accommodation is modifying an old schema to fit a new object or problem. For example, a child may learn that only living things move on their own is a rule with exceptions, and the sun and moon don't move. Pygott's theory of cognitive development. There are 4 stages. The sensory motor stage, which is from birth to 2 years. Pre-operational stage, which is from 2 to 7 years. Concrete operation stage, which is from 7 to 11 years. And the formal operation stage, which is 11 years and onward. Lev Vygotsky, born in 1896, died in 1934 in Russia, created the socio-cultural development theory. He argued that educators should not wait for children to rediscover the world. Point of language and culture is to transmit information to future generations. Believed the role of the adults is to teach the children. Stressed that cognitive abilities develop through interactions with others and represent that shared knowledge of one's culture. The zone of proximal development is the difference between what a child can actually do and what the child could do with the help of others. Scaffolding is the adult adjusts the level of help in relation to the child's level of performance. Evaluation of Vygotsky's theory. So what he got right, he helps to explain cultural diversity and cognition and emphasizes the importance of teaching. What he overlooked is focus on language, de-emphasizes observation and other learning methods, says little about biological contributions to cognitions, and gives a vague explanation of change. Erik H. Erikson, born 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany, died 1994 in Massachusetts, U.S. He was a developmental psychologist. He worked with Anna Freud, Sigmund Freud's daughter. He expanded on Freud's developmental theory of 8 stages of psychosocial development. He coined the term identity crisis, described identity crisis as wondering who you are. Erikson's psychosocial stage theory is stage theory of how personality and identity developed, emphasized the society and culture stages. Infant, 0 to 18 months, they have the trust versus mistrust stage. Toddler, which is 1 to 3 years, is the autonomy versus the shame and doubt stage. Preschool child, 3 to 6 years of age, is the initiative versus guilt stage. Pre-adolescence, 6 to 12 years, get the industry versus inferiority stage. Adolescent, which is early teens, is the identity versus role confusion stage. And young adults, which is late teens to early 20s, is the intimacy versus isolation stage. Social development in adolescence, often described as a time of storm and stress, may or may not be true for all teenagers. Adolescents. Do teenagers really engage in more risk-taking behavior? If yes, then why? Brain development, limbic system versus prefrontal cortex, which develops to 25 years old. Peer pressure, seeking excitement. David Alkind, an American psychologist that expanded on John Pygott's work to explain teenage behavior. The personal fable of nothing bad can happen to me. The limbic system is in the midbrain. It is the survival area of the brain. Identity development. So James Marcia had 2 major elements of identity development. 1, whether one has an occupation, and 2, if one has an ideology. Identity achievement explored various possible identities, and then making one's own decisions does not come all at once. For example, you may decide about your career, but not about the type of government you live in which you live under. Identity foreclosure, state of reaching firm decisions without much thought. For example, you may decide as a young person might be told that they are expected to go into the family business with their parent or parents. Identity moratorium. Consider the issues, but not yet making decisions. For example, a person may experiment with various jobs to see what they like best, or sample many classes in college to see what grabs their attention. Identity diffusion, not yet given any serious thought to making decisions, are not actively concerned with their identity at the moment. Emerging adulthood in industrialized societies. Many people have improved health, and nutrition has lowered the average age of puberty. Economic situations encourage young people to stay in school and postpone marriage. family, and career. Menarche is when menstruation begins. Spermarche is the first time ejaculate comes out of the penis. This results in a long period of physical maturity without adult status, a potential additional stage of development for some people. Adulthood, traditionally broken into ages and stages. Early adulthood is 20 to 40 years old. Career, family, marriage, and children decisions are typically made during this time period. Midlife transition is a period of reassessing goals, setting new ones, and preparing for the rest of life. Not the same as midlife crisis, and Silicon Valley is primarily a conceptual or a metaphorical term, describes a high-tech cultural environment and mindset that heavily shapes human growth and psychosocial development across the lifespan. Old age is how you feel, and old age depends on what happens long before. Dignity and independence are key concerns, serious issues when health begins to fail. Healthy older people, on average, are happier and more satisfied with life than younger people. Death and dying. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, born in 1926 in Switzerland, died 2004 in Arizona. She found the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Some history behind the stages of grief. So the original research was done for grief with people who were dying, not people who were grieving a loss. This led to a flaw. Perception that grief has stages that it goes through, and that people need help grieving. Stages of grief are not really a thing. People may experience some, none, or all of these symptoms or stages. Generally don't happen in a linear fashion, and grief has common feelings, not really stages. What happens is most people recover. People grieve in their own individual ways. No one way to grieve is better than another. Some people do benefit from counseling. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you know someone else who might find it helpful, please forward it to them. Also, if there's a topic you'd like to see in a future video, please leave in the comment section below. I hope you have a great day. Bye!